Thanks for checking out this episode of Help, I'm Turning Into My Dad. Now, if you want to hear the entire episode and get early access to all future episodes, as well as the entire back catalog, all you've got to do is go to patreon.com/becomingmydad. And for just $5 a month, you'll get access to all of our episodes, as well as early releases of every future episode. That's patreon.com/becomingmydad.
I can't imagine. I'm not imaginary. That's why I'm not an actor.
Caitlin, if you do a good job, I'll pay you $20.
Dad, oh my God. Dad, I'm annoyed. You're annoying me. Dad, stop. Help, I'm turning into my dad.
Welcome to another episode of Help,
I'm turning into my dad.
I am Tio Nico.
I'm Lindsay.
And we are in two different locations this week, as we probably
Trying
will
something
be.
new.
Exactly. And we probably will be in different locations for the foreseeable future.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of weird doing a show through my AirPods with you, because usually you're like rolling your eyes at me next to me. So that's different.
Giving you dramatic facial expressions.
Yes. My best friend actually found the show, and he said, I was listening to a podcast and something came on after, and it sounded like it was you, but he called himself Tio Nico, and he's like, are you doing a podcast? And I said, yeah. He goes, well, why are you not promoting it? Are you keeping it a secret? And I was like, well, I'm not really
a secret.
I'm not really keeping it a secret, but I'm also not promoting it to my friends and family either.
Yeah.
So
I feel like that's so strange to be like, hey, yeah, I do this podcast. You know what I mean? Just to like my regular friends. Like I told my roommate about it the other day, and she was like, uh-huh. Uh-huh. That's the literal exact reaction she gave me.
she's like, I'm not going to check that out. Kind of like my friend said, yeah, I'm not paying $5 a month for your show. And I thought, ooh, really? Really? Anyway, so we'll get into more of that later on. We've got lots of great topics for you today. Now, one thing I want to start off with, Lindsay, is because you're an education major, and I am working in education, and it's been a really busy week because our public schools started this week here in Wisconsin. And so I had an opportunity to take on a couple assignments, and I want really excited to kind of tell you about something that happened to me this week. Are you ready?
What happened to you? Tell me all about it.
So I'm a sub, and so I log on to the sub website, and I was not sure what I was going to get the first week of school because, you know, everybody shows up. And it did list a 3-day sub job for general education at an elementary school. Thought, I'll do that. It's probably just some extra set of hands, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, so before we go to what happened this week, let me tell you about something that happened 2 weeks ago that Lindsay already knows. I went for a job interview for a building sub position at an elementary school, and I found out that it was for special ed, and they wanted me to handle special ed kids in grade 3 and 5 and, you know, fill in for people on maternity leave and that kind of thing. And I really wasn't sure that opportunity was for me, because I don't have the specialized training to deal with situations that happen, right?
Yeah, it definitely takes a special kind of person.
So Lindsay kind of talked me out of it. My principal that is my mentor talked me out of it. And other
Actually,
people.
no. Hang on. I didn't talk you out of it. I supported you. I said, oh, that could be interesting. I didn't say yes or no.
Yeah, but that could be interesting. Like, you're going to fall flat on your face. Right? That's what the little giggle means.
But I didn't directly say it.
You didn't have
directly say it. But you had already made your decision. So it's not like I was what I said was going to influence you to go back and say, oh, yeah, like you had already turned it down by the time you talked to me about it.
So when I got to this assignment, I was like, all right, where do you want me to go? And they're like, oh, check in with special ed. I was like, you got to be kidding. Okay, so no problem. I've never really experienced kids with needs before. So I went down there and they assigned me to a couple first graders, and one of them spoke no English at all. And the other one didn't listen to me at all. So this was going to be a great day.
Yeah.
Top it all off, this was a class that was taught 100% in Spanish.
Oh my God.
So 2 special needs kids. One doesn't know English. The other one won't listen to me. And when the teacher's like telling all the instructions and then it's like, all right, go do your thing. I was like, all right, so what are we doing now? Like, how can I help them when I don't even know what we're doing?
Yeah, because you can't understand Spanish.
She was pretty good about, helping me fill in. But then, so that was day 1. I was exhausted. I was so tired. Day 2 comes, and I was like hoping that a teacher would call in sick on day 2. That did not happen. Guess what? I'm back in special ed, and I am assigned to a kindergartner. I'm like, oh, from 2 kids to 1 kid, this will be a breeze. Again, another Spanish-speaking class. This boy knew very little English, but he would just run out of the classroom. He'd run away from me, and even though he only weighed like 40 pounds, I was really nervous about putting my hands on a kid. I've never had to do that before.
Yeah, it's scary when you have to restrain them, and that because that kind of puts yourself in danger if they're like displaying dangerous behaviors like that. Like, you don't know what you're supposed to do. You don't know what's going to hurt them, and you want to protect them from hurting themselves. It's a very fine line. And the last time I had to handle something like that, I literally started crying. I was like, ugh, it was just not a good day.
So about halfway through the day, I went to the special ed coordinator and I said, look, this kid is not listening to me at all. I've been having to physically bring him back. I said, and I'm really nervous about touching students and like moving them. And so they ended up moving me out of there. Thank goodness. Then I went to 4th grade, which was fine. And then the 3rd day I was there, I was back with those 1st graders. But just an interesting experience. So, I was so on the fence about whether I take this building sub job as a special ed teacher. And I'm so glad I did not, because a whole school year of that would have been extremely difficult for somebody who doesn't have the training to deal with those special situations.
Yeah, you made the right choice with that, I think.
So I've got to tell you, can I share some first day experiences?
Sure.
So this was a public school, and I don't know if we go into a whole debate about what kind of, what's wrong with our educational system, but I definitely
feel... That's way too long of a debate. We don't need to get into that today.
But I do feel like open concept classrooms are not working for anybody. Like the classrooms I was in had like no walls. And there was another class going on next door. I mean, there was a wall, a partition. Let's say there was a partition.
Oh.
So you could hear the other classrooms going on. You could hear all their videos that they're playing and all the stuff that they're doing. Like, it's so distracting. If you have ADD...
Oh my God, yeah.
How are you concentrating on what your teacher in front of you is saying when you're hearing all this racket?
I wonder if it's just like, if it was like a low, like, I don't know what the... low income, low funded school, like if that's just a really big classroom and they were just like trying to make it work with their like building or something.
I think it's the way that they
trying
designed
to accommodate
the building to be, because even when I went over to 4th grade, they're right across the hall from each other with there's no door to the classroom. It's just open. So you could hear what's going on across the partition and the barrier, like the open.
That's horrible.
It's, I couldn't learn like that. I'd be so distracted all day long.
Yeah.
Now, my favorite 1st grader was this little girl who came in this like long sundress. Her hair was in a bun. She had dark Kim Kardashian sunglasses in her hair. I was like, okay, you look like the housewife in New Jersey coming to 1st grade. It was so funny.
That's cute.
Yeah. And then let's see. What else was the last thing? No, that was about it. It was just tough being in a classroom that only spoke Spanish. And then my last observation is, why do they make white crayons?
What if you have black paper?
Nobody uses black paper. These kids are trying to color crap with white. And I'm like, dude, you can't see it. I'm like, do not use that crayon. And that's all they wanted to color with was the white one. It's like you can't even prove you did anything.
I mean, you can kind of feel it. When you color with crayons, you kind of rub your finger over it. Like, you can feel that there's crayon there.
Oh, is that the teacher's job now, to not just look at the homework? She has to feel it to make sure, see if something's there?
I didn't say that was the teacher's job. I said you can tell, maybe not on first glance, but you can tell that it's there.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, how was your week?
It was good. Classes started this week. It was very slow. Oh my gosh, I have to tell you. So I missed my first lecture for music appreciation.
How are you ever going to appreciate Olivia Rodrigo's new album without that class?
Well, it wasn't out. It wasn't out yet.
Oh, thank goodness it wasn't out yet.
No, so I'm trying to go to music appreciation, and this is a class where you have 2 like lectures per week, and each of them are 55 minutes. So you have to go to a small group like discussion, and you have to go to a large group lecture. And I was on my way to go to music appreciation. I'm getting in my car, put my backpack in my, because I don't live on campus anymore. So I put my backpack in my car. My backpack had my wallet, my keys, my laptop, my iPad, all of the things I need to go to music appreciation.
Mm-hmm.
And I put it in the back seat, and I close the door, and I'm about to get in the front, and I hear a beep.
To hear the rest of the story and the rest of the podcast, head over to patreon.com/becomingmydad. And for just $5 a month, you'll get access to our entire back catalog as well as early access to every future episode. Support Nick and Lindsay and this podcast by going to patreon.com/becomingmydad. Can't wait to tell you the rest of the story over on Patreon.